tradition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say is even harder to find.
All right, so here we are.
By Shingles.
Happy podcast day.
Happy podcast day. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. Hope everybody's waking up feeling good this morning,
Had a couple green beers.
as did we.
It's just green dye. That's all it is. A couple drops.
I just had a regular beer.
You have a Guinness or just regular?
Corona.
I actually had my first. That's Cinco de Mayo.
What is
I had my first Irish car bomb yesterday.
No way.
Delicious.
First one.
First one, and then I had my second one.
Right
Delicious.
after.
It was great. I highly recommend Irish car bombs. This is actually kind of a funny story. So, Amber and I went to Jack Holder's restaurant, which we were talking about earlier. Two of our daughters work there, and we know the owner pretty well. He's been to my house. Dan, great guy, and I hear somebody come up to him and say, like, "Hey, Dan, we're out of Guinness," and this is at 7:30 in the evening, and I'm like, man, I'm all that's not good. So I Instacarted 2 cases of Guinness for the restaurant.
That is hilarious.
Driver came in, dropped them off to us, and I gave him to Dan. I said, look, you can have, because he wanted to pay me. I'm like, no, you don't have to pay me for the beer. I said, but give me 2 Irish car bombs.
There you go.
Delicious. So shout out to Jack Holders.
Here's a funny story. It's Dan Holder, right? That's the father, the
Yeah.
owner and father. So he used to be babysat by the owner of Gleason, which we just sold. She used to babysit all the Holders, knew him super well.
Oh, wow.
So next time you see Dan, bring that up. Be like, we just sold Pat Cartmill's house, and
All right, I'll let him know. Small world, right? And actually, he's like 3rd generation restaurant guy.
yeah.
Incredible history. So shout out to Dan and the folks at Jack Holders. Great place, good food, and all that good stuff. So before we started the podcast, we were just talking about your roofing situation, how you're getting the runaround from your insurance company. Which is not surprising, right? I mean, insurance companies oftentimes are in the habit of not paying claims. We know we had the wildfires that happened down south not too long ago. And about a week or so ago, the California State Insurance Commissioner approved State Farm to do an average of a 22% increase on their policies in California. So... Yeah. So here's the interesting thing. So they insure about 1 million folks here in the state, which is about 15% of all the policies written are underwritten by State Farm. But if you're a landlord and you have to get insurance on a non-owner occupied property, those rates will be going up as high as 35%. So pretty interesting now. I mean, when the average insurance is costing $3,000 to $5,000 for kind of an average house that we sell, and then you have the outlying areas like Los Gatos Mountains, Almaden, where Mark lives. I mean, they're paying $30,000 or more a year.
Yeah, I also heard some of the lenders won't lend on properties which have roofs over the age of 20 years now. So that's another insurance-related item.
Yeah, this is interesting. We had this come up this week. So Mark and I sold a home, I think the street name was Hampton, right around the corner from the Almaden Country Club. So, there's a little elevation there, but it's not in the mountains or anything. Our seller put a brand new roof on it with permits, right? So the buyer goes to get insurance, sends him a copy of the permit, sends him the original estimate from the roof company, and the insurance company said, we're not going to provide you coverage unless we see that the seller actually paid for the roof. And you see the permit showing that a new roof's been put on and it was approved and signed off. But yeah, insurance.
Isn't Mark going through something like that right now? They're not insuring him because the roof's not on and he doesn't have the photos of the roof being on.
Yeah.
So he can't get insurance.
Yeah. So, Mark's got this 6,000 some odd square foot home and the roof's not on yet because of the approval and permitting process. And the insurance company's like, well, we're going to, we're going to get rid of you because you can't put a roof on. And
brutal.
Yeah. and not only that, his insurance, he has to get partially subsidized through the California Fair Plan. And again, that only covers homes up to $3 million. Mm-hmm. And what we know in our market is the average home right now is about $2 million. Mm-hmm. So, there's quite a few homes that fall into that where if they lose everything, they're still only covered up to $3 million. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. know.
For buyers, I'm just going to turn around real quick. For buyers, I always tell them, and I know you do as well, it's like once you start to narrow down those neighborhoods where you're looking, start to talk to these insurance companies,
Yeah.
put policies in place.
Get a quote.
You get into these situations where you're in escrow. It's like, imagine being in escrow in the mountains, and then you get a $30,000 quote.
or
And I've
$60,000 quote.
Well, and that's the thing. I've heard stories, and again, the word quote, they quote them $30K, and then once they get the signed contract, their actual insurance is $50K,
Yeah.
and now you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, we are like Aaron and I are going through one of the transactions on the mountain, and we checked the NHD report, said it's not in a fire zone, but every insurance provider we talked to, they're like, it is in a fire zone. And then the new map came out this year, and that again stated our home is not in the fire zone. So we reached out to Fair Plan, and that's something that we could use as a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple things I wanted to talk about. This is, I don't know, kind of an interesting retail development happening right around the corner from us. So I'm sure everybody knows Restoration Hardware, right? Great furniture store. They've rebranded. The name is now RH. They have this cool, if you guys have been to the restaurant in Palo Alto yet, have you guys been there?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Well, Jeet gets around, bro.
You know,
You're going to have to hang with Jeet.
yeah.
But anyway, they're opening the first outlet store here in our area, just right around the corner on Hillsdale and Camden. So it's opening up in the next couple of months. I know Mark has to furnish his new home, so I'm sure he'll be out there.
Furnishing.
Yeah.
Furnishing.
So while we're waiting for Aaron, because I want to give him a hard time about some of his sales tactics, I thought this was interesting. You know, I know in our industry, we go up against a lot of competition, right? I mean, you know, sometimes it's 3 agents, 5 agents, and everybody knows, you know, at least 7 to 10 real estate agents in their sphere, their circle, right? But I've got some good news for you guys. The competition is dwindling. We're now at almost an all-time, well, we are at a low in terms of how many full-time real estate agents there are in the United States.
We kicked them out.
Oh, yeah.
We did.
Oh, yeah.
So now this is full-time real estate agents. So the peak was 2019, pre-COVID. 543,000 full-time real estate agents.
How many of those are the neighborhood experts?
All of them.
I'm sorry.
All of them.
That was last week's podcast.
All neighborhood experts. All right. So guess, without looking at my notes here, as of the end of last year, so remember, 543,000 was the peak.
That's disgusting.
That's a lot of agents. I mean, that's like a city, a large city. So as of the end of 2024, how many full-time real estate agents were there in the United States? From 543,000 down to,
I would say 267.
I wish.
Oh,
Well, and that's the case. Maybe we're like low 400s.
Pretty close. So we're 398,000 full-time real estate agents.
we were close. We were close.
Yeah, so we lost about, oh, hey, look who's
Hi
here.
there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Diet Coke.
Were you out vandalizing Teslas again? Where are you coming from?
Big Agent Mastermind.
Yeah, they still let you in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for being here.
I was just telling the guys how, and you don't dap people up when you show up late to a podcast, by the way.
I'm taking it back now.
Yeah.
Give me it back. Thank you.
Do you when you strike out and you're walking back to the dugout, do you high five the guy on deck? No.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, you just sit down and, you know.
I was
pay
a big high five the next guy.
Yeah.
A lot of strikeouts for me.
I bet you were. I was just telling the guys how nationwide the amount of full-time real estate agents have dropped. So the peak was 2019. We had 543,000 full-time real estate agents. We're now down to 398,000. So congratulations to the 150,000 agents that have left our business. And it's actually the lowest since 2013. So I think part of it was, the settlement that came out. I think part of it is, people realize that it's harder than it looks. And so I look forward to the day when it gets down to 200,000 and change. And, I think we'll all still be here. Because do any of you picture yourself doing anything other than selling real estate for the rest of your life?
Well, if I'm not the neighborhood expert in the next couple of years, I'm probably going to quit. I might quit.
No, I
I think I would like to make a transition from selling real estate into doing more development.
Developing, yeah. But I mean,
But like the day in, day out, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Like we don't want to be out here grinding at 65 years old telling our grandkids that we have an open house on Saturday.
Exactly.
Like, it's a hustle, right? But
Yeah.
I think it becomes a point where you are 65 and you get those calls of helping family members, friends to list homes. Got a nice team
But it's
underneath
also
you.
not in their best interest when you completely fall off and you do that.
Okay, that's completely
Yeah.
different.
Don't call me to sell one house a year. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but I mean, we
You're
talk
either all
about
in or you're all out.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, right? Don't just because someone's been in the business for 30 years, if they only sell one house a year, it's probably not the right choice. Which is actually interesting. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because there's something else now that Aaron's here I want to talk about. But I pulled up ChatGPT yesterday, and I said I'm interviewing real estate agents to hire. It's down. It's down to 2 agents, Aaron Derbacher and David John Bruno.
Holy moly, you use those names. in
I
ChatGPT.
did. I said, so do research on both of these agents and let me know which one I should choose.
Oh my God.
Got a pretty interesting answer. And I'll save it for the next podcast.
Wait, what is it? What's up?
It's up on my desk if you guys want to see it later. But this is what I wanted to spend some time on today. It's a cliffhanger, buddy. This is what I wanted to spend some time on today, and I'm glad that you're here, Aaron, even though it was 20 minutes late. There was an article in the Mercury News that came out last week, and the headline was "Stupid System: Bay Area homebuyers frustrated by rampant underpricing in real estate listings." And it gave a couple of examples of buyers that were in our marketplace, and the one example was, they had a budget of 1.8 million. They found a house for 168. They offered 70K over. They still weren't the highest, and they ended up having to pay 1.86 million, which is about 180,000 over the original asking price. And so, before I open it up for discussion, there's also some agents that do, more, we call it transparent pricing, right? Mm-hmm. Excuse me, where the list price is probably closer to where it ends up on market, selling on market. And one of our own agents in our office, Julie Weiss,
Who I was just with and just talked about this with at the Mega Agent Mastermind.
how about that? And who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. She had a great quote. She says, "I get fewer offers, but I'm getting top dollar." And then she goes on to say, and I love this, agents will say I get multiple offers and wear it as a badge of honor. She's like, it means nothing. And so because marketing, when agents go out and they market listings or give you a neighborhood update, this one sold with 7 offers, this one sold with 13 offers, and 800,000 over, and $1 million over, and all of those things. And so my question to you guys is, saying you get multiple offers, is that just a gimmicky badge of honor as an agent? Or, does it make more sense to price towards the top of the market? Does it make sense to price it 10% under, 30% under? I know, Aaron, you just closed one or in the process of closing one that went well over asking price. So I wanted to open it up for discussion, since we all list properties for sale. What's the argument for pricing artificially low?
Want my answer first?
Please.
So let me see if I can articulate this correctly. I'm going to use an example, and I'm going to do my best to explain what it all means. There's a property that I just took, or I'm going to be taking here in the next couple of days in San Francisco. It's been on the market for 6 months. They started at 1.2, then they went to 1.15, then they went to 1.1. Mm-hmm. Now we're under 1.1. Now the sellers have canceled contract with that agent. Mm-hmm. So what I'm doing, I'm not some hocus pocus, oh my God, I'm the best thing since sliced bread agent. It is what it is. The market is the market. Mm-hmm. I'm going to drop that property to 798,000. I'm going to paint.
Oh my God.
No, I don't disagree.
This is the reaction everyone gives. But watch. I'm going to paint the cabinets. I'm going to change out some of the fixtures. I'm going to stage the home a little bit better, and I'm going to get rid of some of the things that should have been
the distractions.
Big TV, big speakers. Yeah. Because what is happening is, when you take a listing, the first thing you need to do is identify who's going to be buying this property. This property is in a great area in San Francisco. It's going to be it's a 2-bed, 2-bath. It's going to be attracting someone between 30 and 40 years old.
Yeah,
and
it feels home, right?
It feels like 2001 when you walk in, and that's not something that any of us are attracted to. So let's make it feel a little bit more modern. Let's get some heads to turn, and let's get multiple offers. Multiple offers do mean something to me because they create leverage. And without leverage, you're just going to start at 1.2 and keep reducing the price until someone sees that you're desperate enough to give you a lowball offer. And eventually, guess what? You're going to take it. I'm going to drop that property to $798,000. I'm going to have between 5 and 7 offers, and I'm going to get somewhere between $900,000 and $1 million. And at that point, my seller can make the determination of yes, I would like to move forward with the sale price, or no, I'm going to take it off the market and I'm going to rent it.
Right. And to your point, and thank you for that. That was very articulate. To your point, the seller has the ultimate decision, right? We can provide them with 5 offers, 15 offers, 50 offers, doesn't matter. Seller has the right to walk away and reject any and all offers. And so, I think, especially in that scenario where it's been on the market, it's stale, everybody's seen it either online or in person, obviously no one's even willing to make a lowball offer on this property. So it's time for you to go in, make some changes, put it back on. And we tell clients this all the time. The market will determine the price. Not me, not you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, but our strategy guarantees results. And ultimately, it's going to tell us if we're going to hit the number that the seller has in mind or not, or if we're going to blow past that, right? Because, if a seller says, hey, I want $3 million for my house, somebody comes, writes an offer for $3 million, they take it, and next thing you know, maybe we missed opportunities because we didn't cast a large enough net. And to Aaron's point too, it's like leverage. I always tell clients, if I can generate at least 2 offers on your property, then I have leverage, something to negotiate with, and I can all but guarantee you I'm going to drive up that price.
I think it also depends on perspective. Like if it's $1 million property and you price it at $499, then that's overblown, right? You're going to have a line outside your house and people waiting to get into the house, and maybe some may not even be interested in seeing it who would have otherwise paid that $1 million. But I think if you price it strategically, like $798 or $899 or $949, whatever the seller is comfortable with, as long as it's pretty close to what they're willing to accept, I think that at least saves a lot of people from wasting their time and gets you a good result overall.
I mean, a perfect example is John Quill. Jeet was like, you're not going to touch that number. And I'm like, all right, let's see. I bought it for $125. I put it on the market for $1,398. I had 3 people at the very top fighting for it. I netted $1,742. But real estate is so much more emotional that if you don't have multiple offers, you're host. So unless you guys want to sit on the market for 30 days, but when it does backfire, David and I went on a listing appointment in Cambrian. We said pricing the property at $2,999 was going to be too high. Guess what? They priced it at $2,999. They got multiple offers and went over 3.2. I didn't think that was going to happen. I would have priced the property at $2,498, right? So, different strokes for different folks, but I think going 10 to 20% lesser from your overall net goal is where you need to be.
No, I completely agree. And, for the agents out there, excuse me, that do more transparent type pricing, I think that's fine too. I think as long as the expectations are set, there's Mark. I think as long as the expectations are set, then buyers know what they're getting themselves into, right? But our buyers in our market are programmed to pay at or above asking price on just about any property. And in fact, the stats came out. So San Jose last year, as an average, sold for about 5% over the asking price. And what's interesting is in San Jose, 66% of the homes last year had multiple offers. Sunnyvale, 80% of the homes had multiple offers. So obviously this is a strategy that's kind of embedded in our marketplace and is pretty unique, but I'm with you. I think it brings in the most potential buyer opportunity, which gives us the leverage that we need to drive up the price as high as we go, or as high as we can to benefit our clients.
But it's not going to be like that forever. In my opinion, what happened was coming out of the recession in 2008 to try and dig our way out in 2011, agents in Sunnyvale, everything was priced at $998, right? And then it would go for $1,415. Then here we are, 2015, we're pricing at $1,698 and it's going to $2,200. Now here we are in 2025, we're pricing at $2,998 and it's going for $3,500.
So you think there's a ceiling at some point?
If the market shifts and inverts again, it's going to go back to transparent pricing.
Yeah, I think it really depends on supply and demand as well, right? Like how much competition there is within a particular neighborhood, and that's what dictates how many.
But like LA is transparent pricing for the most part. San Diego's transparent pricing for the most part. Santa Cruz, transparent pricing for the most part. Upper end of luxury markets, we last listed Altatira at $6 million. It took us about a month and a half to sell it, but we got $6 million.
Okay, so then let me ask you a question then. So like, for instance, you're talking about supply and demand. Oakland is currently sitting at a 36% increase of inventory, right now versus this time last year. So if you're listing a property in Oakland, are you going to go way low because there's a bunch of homes in the area for sale? Or are you going to just do transparent pricing, knowing that the buyers have a lot of choices, and hey, if they like this house, this is what we want them to pay for it?
So I will answer before Jeet because I know what he's going to say. Oakland, I believe, is the trickiest market in the Bay Area because there are so many sub-cities of Oakland.
Yeah,
like San Jose has Willow Glen, the Rose Garden. They're not individual cities, but they're
neighborhoods
annexed
then.
into San Jose, right? Oakland has even more than that, and they have a surplus amount of inventory, and they have a lot of weird floor plans because they were built so long ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like Piedmont or Montclair or places like that.
Sure.
I'm talking about the average market in Oakland is super weird. So Jeet and I did a stress test. We had a property. It was probably worth between 1.3 and 1.5. We went on a transparent price and we got no offers. Okay. Mm-hmm. So my solution to always fix that is to drop it, make your head turn, and see where this thing goes. We dropped it to 998, and guess what?
No offers.
We got nothing.
Yeah, it was the craziest thing. We had no one through the open house. We had no offers. We had maybe 2 private showings. It was the craziest.
That was a weird house, though.
It was a very weird house, but I would say overall, it may just be a time in the market kind of thing, and our sellers at the time needed to sell this thing as soon as possible. So that's why we did everything possible to get it sold quickly, and even then there was nothing that we could have done. But I would say if I got a listing like today in Oakland, I would just put it with transparent pricing and let the market do its thing.
If I got a listing in Oakland today, I would go probably 5 to 7% over.
Knowing that they're going to negotiate it down because they know it's a slowing market.
Because everyone that's lost out on other properties has negotiated backwards, right?
Yeah.
So in Oakland, you can expect to do seller repairs. There's things that are going to get flagged. It's a completely different market, right? But if you go east, let's say we're still in East Bay, Hayward Hills, super hot right now. Union City, super hot. Fremont, super hot. But Oakland, for whatever reason, has a huge supply of inventory, which has brought prices down a little bit.
It's also got a stigma to it, I think, and which doesn't.
Well, Oakland has some challenges to overcome, right? Socially and with crime and those types of things too. And so so the hill areas always are gonna do better, but the closer you get into.
But downtown Oakland condo market seems to be pretty strong.
Which is interesting because our condo market, for the most part, pretty flat.
Flat,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just put one on last week off of Payne Avenue, and I think it's going to sit for a while.
Yeah.
But also that one doesn't have inside laundry, and I think that's such a deal breaker. For
a lot of people.
Yeah. How can you expect to pay $700,000 or $750,000 for a home, and then you got to go walk in the rain 100 feet down to do your laundry with all your other neighbors?
So at $700,000, what's a mortgage payment nowadays look
with
like?
20% down?
Yeah.
That's about. Well, let me do the math quick.
While he's doing that, I'll just tell you. So 20% down on $700,000 is $140,000, right? So you got a $560,000 mortgage.
So it's $4,320.
Yeah, and at $4,300, you should have washer and dryer because any apartment you get is going to have washer and dryer, right?
Well, and this is the interesting thing too. So I reached out to the HOA on that one, and I asked them like, "Hey, is there an approval process that we'll get licensed plumbers and permits if we need to? Is there an approval process to add a washer and dryer inside the unit?" And they said no, because our CC&Rs say you can't have inside laundry. But then my response to that is, you have homeowners that are on the HOA board. Why not amend those CC&Rs? Because it's going to bring up the value of your units when it comes time to sell, right? So I mean, just because something was once that way doesn't mean it has to be. Did you guys know? You probably not because you're all young, but did you know that prior to 1974, which is not that long ago, in my life, it was a year before I was born. And before 1974, women were not allowed to have a mortgage on their own. Do you guys know that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
The Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974, the law was passed where a woman could be on a mortgage or get a home herself. So it's only been 50 years
Wow.
that women have been able to own real estate on their own. And now, as of 2024, single women made up 20% of all the purchases nationwide last year. So 1 in 5.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, right? As girl dads, right? You know? So in 50 years, they've gone from 0 to 20% of the, and that's single women, 20% of the marketplace for buyers in our country. That's pretty awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool story.
So I got 2 things. Maybe you talked about one, but one is a shout out to Big Dave over here.
For what?
The shout out is I got in a little bit of credit card score issues.
Oh, let's.
I have a lot of people in the same position. I happen to not change my PG&E bill when I sold my property, so I had about 42 derogatory marks. My credit score went from 800 to 550. I couldn't get a car loan. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't open a new credit card. It sucks. You're kind of like tied because I didn't know about a bill that I had to PG&E, right? Something super simple. And I imagine it happened to so many people. David actually hooked me up with someone that helped me fix my credit. So if you see this, if you're hearing this,
Malik Davis.
yeah, there's people out there to help you. So reach out to David if you're thinking about trying to buy a house or just get out of the situation.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually glad you brought that up, and it's good timing. So Malik is a gentleman that I've worked with now for probably 12 years. Most of the time in our industry, when you hear about credit cleanup, it's a scam, right? People have paid people money to get bankruptcies removed from their credit or collections, foreclosures, all of that stuff, and they end up just losing more money. Malik is the only individual I've met that has actually succeeded, and not succeeded, he has succeeded every single time. So I've probably sent him over the last 12 years, probably sent him 50 clients. I used them myself when I got out of my divorce because I had some credit issues. Aaron's used them. I've had a lot of my home buyers that never thought they could purchase a home. They made good money, they could save for a down payment, but didn't have the credit score. And didn't want to wait 2 or 3 years for that bad stuff to fall off. And so Malik has come through, time and time again. He's got some different programs. There's some low cost ones and some higher cost ones depending on what you need done. And so, if anybody wants legit credit repair done and once and for all, and not have to worry about that stuff coming back, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help.
I'm a walking testimony. I went from 540. I'm not where I ultimately want to be, but I went from 540 to 680. We started, I think, in November, and here we are in March.
Yeah,
so at least 680, you can have some options.
Well, and it's not done yet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's still going through it, and you'll be up over 700, I'm sure.
So it's an embarrassing feeling, but just know it happens to a lot of people, and get ahead of it because there's solutions.
Well, yeah, and just the last little thought on that is that, and sometimes it's just erroneous information, right? Somebody put in your social, or they had a similar name, and so it gets stuck on your credit by mistake, and so he'll fix all of those things too. So shout out to Malik, and reach out to me if you want more information.
And then the second thing that I want to talk about is I just got back from this mastermind. It's with agents that have to sell over $35 million a year. So we're kind of with top producers, and we're talking about what happens when you are buying a house that has high fire risk. So when you're buying a house, there is what's called an NHD report, natural hazards disclosure. It tells you if you're in an earthquake zone, a fault zone, or flood zone, you name it, it's going to tell you.
Yep.
So a lot of the time it says that you're not in a high risk fire zone. As we know, unfortunately, what happened in Malibu, what happened in the Palisades, what happened to the smaller towns around is everything burned down. So a lot of insurance companies no longer will insure you, even if you're not in a high fire zone. Have you guys already talked about this?
We started with insurance, talking about a home being in a fire zone or not. We talked about State Farm increasing rates 22%. But go ahead.
So there's about 15 of us in there. And ultimately, what I can tell you is it could be a $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million house. You could not be in a high fire zone. No one's going to insure you. The only option you have is a California Fair Plan, and it is what it is. It's going to be roughly between $9,000, $12,000. It's going to insure you up to $3 million. It doesn't matter. Everyone has to do the same thing. It sucks right now, and it just is what it is.
Yep.
So even though your house is $6 million, you're going to get insurance for $3 million, and you need to self-insure anything past that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the last thing, just quickly, before we drop off, obviously one of the things that makes us successful as a team and individual agents are our clients, because our clients will, we get the majority of our business comes from past client referrals, right? Our sphere of influence, people that have known us and do business with us. So we're doing a quick 2-week challenge. All of our clients are going to get an email from us tomorrow or the next day asking just a simple favor. Just write us a quick Google review. We provide the link to the Google review. if you guys would take 30 seconds or a minute out of your busy day, write us a review. Anytime over the next 2 weeks, you'll be automatically entered to win a $500 Amazon gift card as a way for us to show, our appreciation for you taking the time to write a review. If you've ever been to one of our client events, maybe you haven't had a chance to transact with us yet, but you've come into contact with us, or we've answered questions for you or your family, been to a movie night, a casino night, a wine event, you name it. We will include a link to for the Google review and whatever our social post, but reach out to one of us if you don't get an email. We would love to get you entered in for the drawing and love to have that Google review.
Cool.
All right.
Awesome.
That's it. See you.
Nice.
We out.